What was a crazy food that you had in Colorado?
So there really aren't very many crazy opportunities to have crazy food in Colorado. There's a drink called Pero, and it's a coffee substitute that people have. And so we had an investigator that was struggling with coffee, so I drank some of it with her to because she was kind of doubting that it was going to help her, and it was disgusting. So besides that, I almost had lengua once, which is cow tongue, but couldn't do it.
What was a crazy or dangerous experience you had?
Once, when I first picked up my new companion sister, Hoops, she was the only girl I ever trained, that first night we went tracting, because of course that's what you're supposed to do with brand new missionaries, and the first door we knocked on, a woman took a Book of Mormon, and when we walked away, her husband went into the house and got the Book of Mormon and came out and started yelling at us for giving his wife a Book of Mormon. And he was really clearly drunk, and he, take this beep beep book back, and getting really mad at us. And I had just had a training a few weeks before that about how you should never take back a Book of Mormon because God sees it and you're taking back someone's salvation. And so I just told the man, I can't take that book back because God would see, and I'm sorry. And so he got even more angry after that, and he just threw it at our feet and said, "Do you beep beep?" More swearing, and walked back into his house and slammed the door. And my poor new trainee sister Hoops just had the deer in the headlights, what just happened look on her face, and I was like, it probably wasn't the wisest decision, probably should have been more humble, and I didn't get hurt, so it was okay.
What was a spiritual experience you had, or a time you felt the Spirit strongly?
One of my favorite experiences was teaching Amy Higbee, and her husband and her 3 kids were all members, and she'd been going to church for 3 years before she started taking the missionary lessons. And when I got there is when she started taking them, and we taught her for 4.5 months, and the AP of our mission actually told me that we should drop her because she wasn't progressing, and I couldn't do it. And because I really felt like she just needed more time. And she got baptized on Valentine's Day by her husband, and probably one of the most spiritual experiences was just having him come up to me after her baptism and just seeing the gratitude that was on his face, and just watch tears streaming down his face because he knew that this meant that they could finally be an eternal family. And it was something that they'd been married for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. They'd both been divorced and then got remarried to each other. And you could just tell how grateful and how happy he was that he was going to finally be able to be and have an eternal family. And just knowing that my prayers and my teaching and me coming on a mission had contributed in a very small way to that. That was the happiest I think I've ever been. And that day I just decided that I wanted to serve missions for the rest of my life. I was never going to go home because I just this is all I wanted to do, because it just was so incredible. It was better than anything else I could have ever done.
Awesome. What is one of the greatest life lessons you learned on your mission?
I learned that nothing is more important than God and Jesus Christ, and that there's nothing I want to do more than love them forever.
What is a new skill or ability you gained as a missionary?
I gained the ability to not feel weird talking to random people because a lot of times before my mission I was a very shy person, but now I feel completely comfortable talking to whoever I am around, almost to the point that I think I make other people feel awkward because I just say exactly what's on my mind. But so I think just the ability to talk to everyone and to be friends and make everyone feel included.
What's the most extreme weather you experienced?
There was a few weeks when it got to be -10 degrees or something, and it was freezing, and it was when I was in Parker, the really rich area, so we had nothing set, and so it was a lot of tracting, and that was pretty awful.
What's one of the hardest things that you went through or experienced?
Something hard that I experienced was being separated from my family and seeing them or hearing of them go through things that were really hard for me to know that they were going through, but not really being able to talk to them or to help them, which really, on a mission, that doesn't have anything to do with the actual mission that you're serving, but I think that was hard for me because I just wanted so badly to be able to be there and love them and to help them in whatever way I could. And it felt sad that I could help all these people that I was with, but I couldn't help my family. The way that I was able to overcome it was just realizing that God is a much better, he's a lot better at watching over people than I could ever be. And so there's nothing that I could have done that God wouldn't already be doing if I was there. And I knew that God was proud of me and glad that I was serving a mission, and that was where he wanted me to be. And so there was nothing that I could have changed being back home, and he was still there to comfort them and to help them.
What's the best advice you could give to a future missionary or future sister missionary?
My advice to future missionaries would be to gain a conversion to the gospel of Jesus Christ and to not take it lightly in their lives, because it's easy, at least it was for me as a youth in the church, to be spoon-fed the gospel and to just believe it or live it or go to church on Sundays because that was just what my family was doing. And it's not to say that I didn't have a testimony, because I always have had a testimony, but if you ask me what I wanted to do with my free time, it definitely wouldn't have been scripture study. It would have been watch a movie or hang out with my friends. But since I've come back from my mission, if I have free time, I've consciously tried to watch random TV shows, but it just doesn't interest me. I can't do it, and it's kind of frustrating. I do want to read my scripture. I want to pray, and so to anyone that was considering serving a mission, I would tell them to recognize what is most important and to start living it now, so that when you're on a mission, you can be even more powerful.
What's the best advice you could give to a returned missionary who's just getting home?
Well, I got home from my mission a month and 2 weeks ago, approximately. And so I'm not very well versed in return missionary knowledge, but I would say to not expect that you're going to go down in your level of spirituality, but to realize that with change can come more growth. So to expect that you will continue to grow instead of expecting to fall back into who you were before your mission.